Shin Megami Tensei Persona 2 Innocent Sin released in June of 1999 on the PlayStation only in Japan. Innocent Sin was a commercial success and resulted in the development and release of a sequel, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, 1 year later in 2000. Strangely enough, only the sequel, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment, was localized on PlayStation in November of 2000 in North America. The first game in the Persona 2 duology was officially localized in September of 2011 on the PlayStation Portable for the West. 10 years. 10 years is what it took, but at least we got it. Today, I'm doing a deep dive into one of my favorite Persona games of all time, Innocent Sin. Note that this is a spoiler-free review, but there might be some minor story spoilers in the gameplay on screen. The story in Persona 2 Innocent Sin is one hell of a story. The events of this game take place in Sumaru City in the year 1999 and you play as Tatsuya Su, a student of Seven Sisters High School. It starts off really quickly as you meet Lisa Silverman. Lisa is also a student at Seven Sisters and she's a brilliant girl that clearly has a lot of interest in Tatsuya. Rumors are floating around school about a certain Joker game, but at first both Lisa and Tatsuya don't really pay any attention to them. Not long after meeting Lisa, a kidnapping of a fellow student leads you to Kus High, another school from your neighborhood, to meet Eikichi, a band/gang leader. During a confrontation with Eikichi and his crew, all three characters unveils their persona. Tatsuya, Lisa, and Eikichi. They all have a persona. It all happens really fast and suddenly they meet with a mysterious figure, Joker. Turns out that the rumors about the Joker game and its summoning this Joker person were actually true. This is where the meat and potatoes of Innocent Sin's plot begins. Joker tells you that the three of you committed a terrible sin in the past. All three party members don't remember this sin or anything related to the three of them in the past. The lack of memories from the characters angers Joker and he decides to leave with a promise of revenge in the future once they remember the sins of their past. With their newly acquired powers, Tatsuya, Lisa, and Eikichi decides to gang up and learn more about Joker. Once again, another rumor reaches the team's ears and they decide to investigate the supposed ramen shop that actually sells weapons. While investigating, they found the Kuzunoha Detective Agency, where all its members are currently investigating Joker and the Masked Circle. After learning that the Masked Circle is basically Joker's team, they decided to try and learn more about them, to chase them. In the process, they stumbled upon two new party members, Maya Amano and Yukino Mayuzumi. Both of them are also Persona users and it will be of great importance to the party to learn more about Joker. As the story progresses, the party learns that in Sumaru City, rumors are all becoming reality at some point. Throughout Innocent Sin's story, you learn more about the past and those sins that Joker is referring to. This story is brilliantly crafted as it leads you to believe that the game is a simple story about chasing an antagonist, but it really is way more deep than that. Believe me, this story goes in tons of direction and I don't mean that in a bad way. I am a big fan of stories that make you feel like you are a mastermind by figuring out its various mysteries, and Innocent Sin is just that. The first 10 hours is a complete mystery and kind of a mess at first since there's a lot that the player doesn't understand. The way that the story leads you to uncover the various mysteries around the Masked Circle, the reality of rumors, and your past is dazzling me. It feels vastly rewarding to me. The combination of mystery and dark tone makes Innocent Sin stand out as a modern era RPG, which was far from common at the time. Both Innocent Sin and its sequel have the best stories in all of Persona in my opinion. The cast of characters is original and all the characters are likable, whether it's your main party or the smaller characters that you meet only for a short bit. The main party evolves as you spend time in the game and in a very impressive way. All party members have a fantastic story arc that makes them all extremely appealing and memorable. I have a soft spot for Maya Amano. I think she is awesome and best girl in all of Persona. Just felt like mentioning that really quickly here. Another aspect that this game excels at is its atmosphere. My reference in terms of a game that nails its atmosphere is none other than Shin Megami Tensei's Strange Journey, but if you ask me, Innocent Sin is right up there next to it. The music in this game fits the game perfectly, whether it's the dark and mysterious Joker theme or the traditional fitting ramen shop theme. Every track in this game feels natural and I love it. The PSP remake of Innocent Sin also brought some new tracks and remixes to the PS1 original and the ability to toggle between both soundtracks, which is a fantastic option that I wish was in the original Persona remake on PSP. From the iconic tracks like Yukino's theme or the smaller tracks like the CD Shop theme, all of them are both fitting and memorable. If I had to choose between the PS1 and PSP soundtrack, I would probably choose PS1, but they're both very well composed and I don't really have a clear preference. The opposite to P1, because P1 I have a strong preference for the PlayStation soundtrack, while the PSP soundtrack isn't bad, it's not as good. With Innocent Sin, both are awesome with a minor preference for the PS1 soundtrack. I have nothing but praise for P2's soundtrack, but it really isn't surprising since anything Megaton is awesome in terms of music if you ask me. Other than the music, the overall look and feel of the game is really well made, and small details and references to other games really shows how much the devs cared about this project. The PSP remake of Innocent Sin looks and plays great. The environments looks great on the system, and my personal favorite visual aspect of the game is the character designs and portraits drawn by both Sojima and Doi, two legendary Atlus designers. P2's cast of characters is by far my favorite. The diversity is immense and I love it. In terms of gameplay, I definitely am going to go in depth here since for those of you who don't know, anything after Persona 2 Eternal Punishment is extremely different in terms of gameplay. Basically, all the games that older fans refer to as Neo Persona, so P3, P3 FES, P4, P4G, P5, P5 Royal, all those games, they use different elements that are not in those games. No social links, no calendar system, and a very different combat system, which makes going back to playing those games or playing them for the first time in 2021 a very refreshing experience. You play through the story like any older Megaton game. You get clues around town and try to solve mysteries. In good old Megaton fashion, you travel through dungeons, fight and recruit demons, and get to practice demon fusion in the Cathedral of Shadows. Speaking of demon fusion, Innocent Sin uses a very different system than most other Persona games. The Cathedral of Shadows is still here, with Igor right in the middle of it, with a demon painter with his design clearly inspired by the legendary artist Kazuma Kaneko. The fusion system uses tarot cards that you get by negotiating with demons. When you negotiate with a demon, if you succeed, you get a tarot card of the corresponding arcana of the demon you're talking to. Once you get a certain number of cards, you bring them to the Velvet Room, which allows you to either summon or fuse personas afterwards. I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of this system, but it is unique and it is refreshing, so I really didn't mind going back to Innocent Sin and experiencing this system again. Not a negative in my opinion, just not as great as the typical fusion system that we can see in other games, once again, in my opinion. In terms of combat, it's a regular turn-based combat system. You choose your placement on a grid before each battle. Front row gets more chance of being hit than back row, which makes for some interesting placement strategies. For certain moves, you have to be up front or you will be too far away to land a hit. My favorite feature in combat is fusion spells. When you combine certain moves together, you get to decide if you want to combine or fuse multiple moves to land a heavy hitter on an enemy. Elemental spells and physical attacks and guns are all here. This combat system is pretty simple to master and makes for an overall decent experience. The very high encounter rate in certain large dungeons makes it a bit repetitive at times though. I know that I mentioned a high encounter rate in my Digital Devil Saga review, but the more in-depth combat system, being the press turn system, made repetitive battles more bearable. That being said, the combat in Innocent Sin is still enjoyable and a fun time nonetheless. The difficulty in Innocent Sin is well balanced, but it's definitely on the easier side of things in terms of mainline Persona. So if you are coming from P5, which is generally believed to be one of the easier games in the series, you're not gonna struggle too much with this one. When it comes to the exploration and story progression in Persona 2, it's actually super fun. It's similar to Shin Megami Tensei 3 Nocturne. You don't have a UI telling you where to go exactly. Instead, you have to talk to NPCs around town and pay attention during story dialogues to figure out where to go next. That way, it keeps the player engaged while still being forgiving with various NPCs that will help you wherever you go to avoid getting lost. Dungeons are back, but this time in a new fashion. Persona 1 was a first-person dungeon crawler with very simple designs and graphics. Persona 2 Innocent Sin is a over-the-top dungeon crawler. This is a controversial take of mine, but I personally really dislike the way that you control your party in dungeons, and it feels like a downgrade for the first game in my opinion. Most people disagree with me on this one, so here's a comparison for y'all to create your own opinion. It works, it's just unpleasing to travel through dungeon to me as a first-person dungeon crawler fan. Dungeons are well designed though, and the general aesthetic of them feels like a massive upgrade from the plain ones in P1. Overall, in terms of visuals, I think this PSP version of Innocent Sin aged extremely well. Your characters look great on field, the battle animations are really cool to watch and diverse, and every now and then, throughout the story, you get those fully animated cutscenes that look freaking fantastic. I remember seeing those on my PlayStation Portable back in the day and I was really impressed. Still am to this day, to be perfectly honest. Another very unique mechanic that you can find in Innocent Sin is the rumor system. Remember how I mentioned that the rumor about a Joker person became true? Well, in both P2 games, rumor, when spread accordingly, all become true. As you progress through the game, you can talk to NPCs around town and ask them to spread certain rumors. Those rumors will instantly become true and give you some very important advantage. For example, you can open certain shops that will sell a larger variety of equipment, or sell items at a lower price, or you can even spread rumors during demon negotiation. That's a feature that I really enjoy as it allows you to predict which spells your future demon will have. It's a very unique idea that kind of seems messy in concept, but actually works flawlessly. It is very sad to me that Atlus, especially its western branch Atlus West, almost refuses to acknowledge the existence of anything Persona before its third installment. Both Persona 2 and Eternal Punishment are forgotten classics that deserve to be played in modern age. Innocent Sin not only managed to be a fantastic experience for newer fans, but also captured the hearts of older fans of the series. It also brought some crucial elements for what was to come in future Persona releases, and that's exactly the reason why I feel like newer fans that jumped into the series with Persona 4 Golden or Persona 5 should absolutely check out Persona 2. The story is definitely what makes Persona 2 stand out amongst other JRPGs, and a top tier soundtrack, great gameplay and fantastic characters make for an overall very enjoyable experience even 20 years after its original release. So those were my thoughts when it comes to Persona 2 Innocent Sin. I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Persona 2 is definitely a game that I hold close to my heart, so you can absolutely look forward to a similar in-depth review for Persona 2 Eternal Punishment. I hope I'm able to get this one out before SMT5 drops later this year. I'm gonna do my best, and I'm already playing the game, so that should be good. If you enjoyed the review, as always y'all, make sure to drop a thumbs up. It helps a ton, especially when I put so much work in the videos. Share it with your friends, and make sure to subscribe if you are new to my channel and want to stay up to date on any type of content when it comes to Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, Atlus, and more. Thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.